Hello everyone, how are you doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day. In my What is Psychosis video, which I'll make sure to link below, I spoke about how I was going to be doing several videos on psychosis because it is very complex and I didn't want to overload people with information by trying to put it all into one video. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm doing another video on psychosis, and this one is going to be about my delusions. My delusions tie into my hallucinations, so there will be some mention of my hallucinations in this video, but I will be doing a separate video to give you more insight into that. So my delusions started around about the same time as my hallucinations, and I would see things like ghosts and demons, and I believed that I was seeing them because it was my job to get rid of them, or more accurately, it was my job to get rid of demons and my job to somehow help the ghosts to find peace. So it was two jobs and I took them very seriously. I actually did a lot of research into how to get rid of demons and how to help ghosts move on, etc. A lot of what I learned about ghosts came from the TV show Ghost Whisperer. I was very into that TV show and I would watch it and think, well, if she's seeing ghosts and I'm seeing ghosts, then I must be seeing them for the same reasons and it must be up to me to help them to move on. And I said in my What is Psychosis video that TV shows can play into psychosis quite a bit. I just really developed this sense of like being important, and I would even call myself the chosen one. I was the one that was chosen by some higher power or whatever to rid the world of demons and ghosts. Now comes the more complicated part of my delusion. So this is kind of tricky to explain, but basically during the worst of my psychosis, I had this belief that I belonged to multiple different realities. So first of all, I believed that there was multiple realities, which isn't really something that I believe now that I'm on medication and my head's clear. But during psychosis, that was normal to me. There was lots of realities where lots of different things happened. The thing that's tricky to explain is that I was someone that could move between these realities, and in each reality I had a different life, I guess. So in one I was adopted and I was actually royalty in real life. I think that might have come from my obsession with Anastasia, to be honest. And then in another I was also adopted. I don't know why adoption seems to be a theme in this. And I had a whole other family. And then in another one I could talk to animals. In another one I think I lived in like Victorian times or something, some kind of time around then. Basically I was just this superior being who could move between different realities and had different lives in each one while still being me, if that makes sense. Very tricky to explain, sorry. Looking back, it all seems crazy and it all sounds like I've lost my mind, but that's psychosis for you. You pretty much do lose your mind. You aren't able to tell the difference between reality and fiction, and sometimes the stuff that you believe in is so wild that when you do have the clarity like I do now, you can't believe that you ever thought that way. I think the delusion that played into my life the most was the belief that I was being watched by the government. So they knew that I had these special abilities and they were worried that I was going to use them in some kind of bad way, and That meant that like when I was using my laptop, I would cover the camera. When I sent a message and then I read it back and thought that could be taken kind of funny, I would automatically delete it. Sitting on the bus, I would panic that there was people on the bus that were spying on me, and even went as far as for me to believe that people could read my thoughts, so I would try and control what I was thinking and just think about normal things, I guess. It was all very elaborate, which might sound strange to you guys, but it doesn't really to me, because I've always had a very overactive imagination. I have a very creative mind. I was always putting on plays that I'd made up and dance shows and like anything creative, anything imaginative I loved. So in a way I'm kind of amazed that my brain didn't come up with something even more elaborate, though I'm really glad that it didn't. The thing with delusions is that once you gain clarity, so in my case that took years of doctors and psychiatrist appointments and playing around with medication to get the right balance, but when you do gain the clarity and you look back at all the things that you believed, it is so embarrassing. It's mortifying, it really is. Like now I look back and I think, who the hell did I think I was to believe that I was somehow so important, that I was the chosen one? I've said before that my delusions and hallucinations tied into one another, so everything that I was hallucinating, everything I was seeing and hearing just reinforced this idea that I was this person that belonged to multiple realities and that I was the chosen one and the government was watching me because they viewed me as a threat, etc. On top of that, my delusions let me believe that A, this was something I should be keeping to myself, and B, that it was possibly something I could be condemned for. The important thing to remember with delusions is that it will vary person to person, just like hallucinations. We all have very unique brains, we all have different levels of imagination, etc. We have different levels of psychosis, we have different levels of mental health disorders, etc. And what one person believes is not necessarily what another person is going to believe because of their delusions. So I hope this has explained things for you. I hope it wasn't too complicated. Even I look back on everything that I was going through and think, wow, that was just a spider web of chaos. But feel free to ask questions. No question is a stupid question. I would rather that you ask than sit and wonder. I would rather educate you than have you remain confused. In my next video I'm going to talk about my hallucinations, so if there's anything in particular you would like to know about that, then you can also ask that in the comments. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.